Let's start the show. This is Trail Talk Live. We're back for another podcast. I'm Aaron, and this is
Ricky Wayne.
the man himself, top Irish ultra trail runner in the world. You probably don't like saying that. I can say it as much as I want.
Yeah.
We got to thank our sponsors, XMiles, GOREWEAR, and Tantrums. Description if you're on YouTube and Spotify for the discount links, or on Instagram, go to the link in the bio. You can get stuff there. Today, we're going to go into a brief training update, but really, we're going to dig right into your race. We're going to do the World Champs debrief for the long trail, beast of a course, and I think it lived up to that name. There was questions submitted, so we've got some questions, and I think we'll just, as we're going through the debrief, I'll sprinkle in the questions, and then whatever we haven't tackled, we can pick them up at the end. So, instead of a training update, what about a recovery update? How's the man feeling? You just got back today. Happy, tired? How's the feels?
Yeah, tired. Just tired. Tired and happy, I suppose, and sad at the same time because it's all over, you know what I mean? It's like you wait a long time to do something like that, to run for your country, and and you're trying to soak it all in as much as you can, but it's moving pretty quick, everything's going pretty fast, and then before you know it, it's all over, and that's kind of sad. But I'm just outrageously tired at the minute because the race was really hard, and then I didn't sleep at all after the race because I was just hopping out of the bed. My toes were like, some of my toes were really sore, so that interrupted sleep. They were stopping me from sleeping. And then just the next day we were like up, and we were taking in the last day, watching the classic, watching the under 20s, watching the
I
men,
saw
watching
you
the
on the live
women.
stream.
No way,
I
no
saw you
way.
standing at the side of the trail, and it wasn't actually, you weren't the first person I saw. I saw Killian because he was head and shoulders above just everyone in the area, and I saw him. He's
Yeah,
wearing like a white cap, and then
yeah.
I was like, right, next time the camera comes down here, spot Killian, spot the green, and look for Ricky. And I saw you were wearing the green albas.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm never standing beside him again. He's too tall, man. He's too
I
tall.
was getting
I,
messages on Instagram going, "Is Ricky really that small?" I'm like, "Well,
uh,
he is short, but he's your man Killian is also very tall as well, so it exaggerates it."
Killian's close to 6'5". He's like 6'4", so he's a big unit, like. And all week, like, we've been like tied at the hip, basically, and technically it's his hip, my head.
You're up to like his bicep at best, aren't you?
Yeah, at best, yeah, but yeah, great lad. But then we'd say yesterday we checked out at 11 o'clock, and then it was like almost a 5 hour bus drive from Canfranc to Barcelona. Hop on a plane, and then I was in the airport for a lot of hours waiting for a bus. And that, to be honest, was my fault. A lazy bit of planning, so I can't blame anyone for that. Got the bus back this morning, and then picked up the cats, got the cats home, and then I had a little bit of a snooze on the couch before I came on the show. So I'm good. I'm good.
Because you're home, but the wife is still in Spain. She's getting a bit of a holiday out of it.
Yeah, she's her parents were over, so her parents were over and Trina was over to support the team, to support me, which was brilliant. And they just said they'd make a holiday out of it as well. So they headed down to San Sebastian. I think they're heading for Bilbao tomorrow, and then Trina's flying home then tomorrow or tomorrow night.
Very nice. Yeah, San Sebastian, I suppose that is the western side there, so I guess it's meant to be lovely, but also
Yeah, it seems like everybody like that decided to hang around has gone to San Sebastian. Like a lot of the pro runners have gone to San Sebastian. A lot of like, I know Paddy's gone there for a few days with his wife, and just it seems to be a really nice place. Nice place to get a lot of food and chill out and just sit by the beach and enjoy the weather before you come back. Because I was greeted to the rain today when I got back. It's been raining all day, so I'm like, yes, it's definitely over. The bubble is bust.
So, like, just let's just touch on that for a second because we've all experienced that, your A race is over, and then you have this kind of there is like a deflation
Mm,
feeling, the bubble has burst, this thing I've been focusing on for months has now been done. What next? And usually people tackle that by, you know, accepting it, but then planning the next thing,
mm.
right? But
Yeah.
if we think about your year, it's just, it's been one thing after the next thing, an extended build through to Granite Peaks, months in the planning, but also there was things to look forward to as well, like coming up and staying in Mourne and training there. And then straight after Granite Peaks, it was like, okay, the bus has left the station and I'm hanging on to it and we're going to States and then
Mm.
Chamonix and now Worlds. So like the bus is at the end of the line.
Yeah.
2025, the bus has now run out of fuel. So
Yeah.
like how do you cope with obviously you have to just absorb it, think about it. You can't just like always put on to the next
Mm.
thing. You have to absorb it. So what's the feeling around that?
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, because it's been like go, 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 everything's go, 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 and you don't have really time to think about that. And then, like, would say when people would be congratulating me in Western States, I'm trying to think, yeah, but what about Granite Peaks? Have you forgot about Granite Peaks? Because I haven't forgot about Granite Peaks, you know. And then I'm thinking about Western States, and I'm like, man, I have to like try and remember how good that was to be there. But it's this one that has kind of hits harder home because those things are done, and when you're over there, it's a team, you know what I mean? And it is like it's a very team exercise. You're with the team all day long for nearly a week, and you're going for dinner, you're going for lunch, and you're watching other people race, and you're watching other people doing their shakeout runs, and you just get very invested in the team aspect side of it. And like yesterday when we like were at the airport and we were all saying goodbye to each other, like it actually was like really sad. Like, do you know what it was? Like, and I was like, I'm not saying I was like crying or anything, like, but it was just emotional. It was like those are the things. Those are the kind of the days that like are few and far between. You know, it's very rare that you get to do something like that. And to be honest, you're like one of the lucky ones if you do get to like have a chance to run for your country. And like it always kind of hits me that, you know, that could be the last time. Little things going through your head, like I might never get back here again. And you're trying, you just want it to never end, you know, like it's like when you were a kid and you don't want summer to end. It's kind of like that, you know.
Yeah, well, I guess with if we think about states as a comparison for this year anyway, the camaraderie there is consolidated to those that you've maybe run a little bit with. So maybe
Mm,
thinking about Emily, you had some shared experience there, but then maybe like the crew of just Chris and myself, and then comparing it to Worlds, where you're there as a team trying to do the best for like a bigger purpose than just your own race, which obviously is important as
yeah,
well. So I guess it does kind of really feed into that kind of that whole
yeah.
emotional side to it.
Yeah, but plus for like we'd say for States, like the ball was rolling all the time, you know, like we kind of knew me and you like together, as in we knew our plan. Like we spent time together at Granite Peaks in the morns, and then it was like over the States, you know, and the ball was still rolling because we knew that we were heading to Chamonix, and it was like, oh man, this year is fucking electric, like, you know, so you weren't sad that any of those were ending because you knew there was something else coming, like, you know, and then it was all kind of leading to this day, you know, and like that's then it's just a massive like that's it, wallop, bang, that's it, it's done, you know. But of course, the lunatic in all of us trail runners, and what I realized from being in a team environment with all these other runners is we're all lunatics, man. We're all mental cases, and we all are very extreme, and it's always like, what's next? What's next? What's next? You know, like it's the very same. Like for everybody on that team, for me, for you, it's like we're always looking at the next thing. What can we do next? Where can we go? And what can we do? And we're always looking forward, which is very cool. Like,
What is next? Trail Talk Winter Meetup. Get
yeah,
excited.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly, yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Well, let's like one of the things I wanted to ask about. Obviously, you were at the Worlds 2 years ago,
Mm.
Innsbruck, Austria. That in itself seemed like a great event.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it
it was
seemed like
good.
a great course, looked like it was well organized. This felt like it had taken a step forward on that, and I was really impressed by the live stream, the commentary, the production level. It was all great. How did it feel for you? Like the location, Frank, the mountains, the professionalism of just the how slick was it?
Yeah, it was very good. Like it was definitely up a level, look up a big level, you know, not only in like how it was ran, but also in the fields. Like in every single race, they were doubly stacked than what they were 2 years ago. You know, you didn't have you had the quality, but you didn't have the quantity of that sort of caliber of athlete at the last words. You would have had something like, it's like I was trying to explain this to somebody the other day. I was saying, like, you have something like UTMB, and UTMB, you could have 2,500 people, close to 3,000 people doing UTMB. And I would say you'd be lucky to see if there was 15 guys in that race in the men's field with a 900 index. And then it would be stacked with 800s and 700s. This race had 40, over 40 men with an over 900 index. Like, that is just picking the best of the best of the best and just throwing them into one race. Like, I mean, it was the World Cup final. That definitely was. And like for someone like, often you've probably heard that, is Worlds as big as UTMB? You know, like, is the prestige winning a world championship race as good as winning UTMB? And I'm telling you, it felt like it was as big as UTMB, as in the want and the desire to win that race. Like, I'd say if you were to even ask Jim Walmsley that question, I'd say he'd say he enjoyed winning that as much as he would have enjoyed winning UTMB.
I think he did, like he did put a post out about that, and I think he left it as a question mark of like, is it as important? Time will tell. I'm sure it certainly felt, I think he said it was very satisfying, obviously,
Mm.
and his last couple of wins, he's had to race for them, which has been
Yeah,
great. But there's then I was going to say deficit. I guess I'll stick with that. The distance deficit. You know, when you compare the 83K to the 170, you know, it's it's still a short race compared to a UTMB. But then, and also one of the things that we saw at the Worlds was there was athletes that are maybe more focused on either that world cycle every couple of years, like Benjamin and Louison,
yeah,
and then in the shorter distances, those who are focused more on like the WMRA. So there was
yeah,
names come out like I forget the German girl that won the uphill and the classic. Like I
yeah.
didn't even know who she was, and that's because she does WMRA stuff.
Yeah, and even Tove winning the Swedish girl winning the short course, and Fred winning the short course as well. Two orienteers, you know, like two really good orienteering runners. Like, so, like, it's because the course kind of suited those type of runners as well. Because some of the sections were like, you know, picking a line more than picking a trail, you know, as in, because some of it was like unmarked and open mountain, like, which was super cool, like. And yeah, yeah, like, oh, I'm telling you, man, it was a serious, serious race. And again, like, the whole, like, the place where it was, like, Can Frank was. it's a place I'd never go to. You're never going to go there. You're never going to go and stay in Jacka. But it was actually just perfect for that. Like they couldn't have got it any better. Like it was just ideal for throwing all the best athletes into the world and just letting them see how they handle that course.
For such a small place, why the feck have they got a massive train station?
Yeah, yeah.
It's flipping huge. That train station is about 10 times the size of the train station in Chamonix.
But I'm not sure how it works because like it's a train station on one side, but it looks like it's a hotel on the other side. So like I don't know. Like I can't imagine there's 50 trains going through it. There's only one train going through it. Like,
It looked like it was the
but
end of the line.
yeah, and like there's nothing in Jack, I would say, like, or sorry, there's nothing in Canfranc. I'd say 90% of the teams were over in Jacka and maybe other and spread out through other areas because it's very small. I think the population of Canfranc is only 600 throughout the year. There's not a lot in it. And then Jacka, where we were, was great. Kind of like really old, uh, Spanish town, just loads of cool little streets in it. It was deadly. There was just such a cool vibe around it, like. I didn't appreciate the the fact that when they go out on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, they go out on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, the Spanish. It's like they start drinking at about 10 and they keep going till about 5 in the morning. You're there, hey, do you mind? I have a race tomorrow. Yeah, but put the earplugs in and we were good.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you have a siesta. You
Yeah,
get up and you can go later into the evening, and you know what the Spanish are like. That dinner is a dinner is a real celebration, and it happens every day.
yeah,
So, what do you think about? And after this question, we need to get into the race. I want to hear about it blow by blow, how
yeah,
you broke it up. But I felt like, and this is one of the questions that came through about trail running, ultra trail, and the Olympics. It felt like this was a display of this was is what it could be like. And I
yeah,
think I put this up on Instagram, like the drone coverage was the best I've seen at an ultra trail. Yes, we've had great Golden Trail, but this was absolutely hours of following Jim Walmsley in a race. We've never seen that.
mm,
Like we've
yeah,
only ever seen a little bit of Jim in races, but you won't have seen this because you were out there running, but I could see how much of a disaster he was. Like he was dropping gels, he was fiddling with his pack. Honestly, mate, he just looked like a mess during that race, and he was flustered. I'm like, you're so good that you are dropping things and going back and lifting gels, and you're struggling with your top, and you're taking a wrong line, and you're having to climb back up the mountain, and you're still beating these guys.
yeah, yeah.
But we've
I
never
know.
seen that before.
And like to
Olympics,
him, yeah, and
talk
to
about
him,
it.
he had a smooth run. Like I listened to his Iron Fire. He said, yeah, it was smooth. Everything went really well. So I'd say he could do a lot of that flustering on a normal basis. He's just that good. Like, he takes his time in aid stations as well. It's just the speed that he comes into the aid station is what's massively impressive. Like he sprints into them and sprints out of them, and then just takes his time in them. But in regards to the Olympics, to me, it felt like the Olympics. Like in my mind, that felt like I was at an Olympics. Like it felt like I was definitely at the world champs. You know what I mean? It felt big. Like it felt like even the start, even like at the very start when we're running around little kind of we're like inside an enclosed area. It's like caged off, and you have like all these people outside it, like. You're like dogs inside, ready to go, like, barking, and you're just running around in a lap, like, and it's kind of pointless because you're not really warming up. You're just enclosed, and it's like, okay, we're gonna go now in 30 seconds, and then it's a fight to get a good position. Like I think they let the first row, so that's Jim, Poopy, all the boys, they get in the first row. But then it's a free for all, and we get into that, yeah. Like I'm looking forward to getting into it because I've been processing the race a lot since it's been over, and sometimes I forget a lot of things that happen in the race. But this is one race, for whatever reason, I remember everything, you know. I remember everything that happened, nearly minute by minute, if you know what I mean, because it was just there's also something very like different about running in the Pyrenees. I've never been in the Pyrenees, just the vastness that you actually see what's around you. Whereas, if I was doing a race in other places in Europe, you don't see anything. The only thing you really see is your feet. But because the climbs are so big, you're always looking. You're always able to look because the climbs are so steep. It's insane.
That whole area, like one of the things I noticed from the drone footage, I didn't see tree line anywhere during the
No,
ultra trail. Like once you
no,
got up there, you were running and it was just open mountain. It was almost
yeah.
like uh it was like British mountains, only, much higher, much steeper, much bigger.
Yeah, yeah. I might have came down into tree line twice in that race where I was running like in the low parts of like running down towards a valley where you were in forest, and I might have done that twice, and that would have been about maybe 70K in, and then at the very end, just coming down to the finish. You felt like you were up high all day on ridge lines, on like wild open mountain section, on farmland. Just insane. And any time I looked around me to see, is there a gap? Is there somebody coming? Is there anything? Oh man, it would just open up and it was just like it just looked unbelievable. Like mountains and mountains and mountains, and you were just like, this is insane. Like they got it right. Like, if you're gonna have a place to test the best of the best, they got it right. Like the location was perfect.
Well, let's get into it. Let's start. We gotta hear the breakdown of the race. So, how do you want to do it? Section by section? Maybe how did you break the race up mentally yourself? Or you're thinking certain crew points, aid points, that type of thing. So set the
Yeah.
stage and then let's take it section by section.
Yeah, so like the way we were trying to break it up, like myself, Killian, Paddy, we were talking about it, and like the only comparison we have to that is the trials race, which is the Mourns. So we were trying to gauge like, and believe me, I'm trying to gauge more off them because they're better at understanding a course, understanding a map, whereas I'm kind of more chilled,
Underthinking.
underthinking. Yeah, and I'll get into the underthinking. I have a good story about that as well later on, about how my underthinking is good, is good at times. Like so, I was kind of gauging off the lads what time did we think it could be done in, and we were kind of saying maybe like 10.5 hours. It could be, we could run it in, and I was thinking, well, 10.5 hours, okay. That and I was thinking 10.5 hours that would be good going. That'd be serious going because the Mourns was 80K with 5,300 meters of climbing. But I mean, this isn't the Mourns. This is the Mourns, but at 2,000 meters and much steeper climbs and much longer descents. So I was like going 10.5 hours is going to be a big ask. But that's kind of like what I had in my head. That's kind of the plan I was going for, and I was kind of setting that kind of pace where I was saying, if I'm in around that sort of 8 minute to 8 minute 30 kilometer pace, that could get me a really good position. And that's what I was going for. Also, before I start, and I've told you this many times, that I kind of gauge it off the best women in the field. Like I'm smart enough to know that the women are smarter than me. So just like following Emily at Western States, I was very keen to follow the one and only Ida Nielsen because I was thinking Ida is going to have a day here because she would love that kind of terrain and she would love that mountain range, and she's just really strong, really determined, and she knows how to beat men. Do you know what I mean? She's just a man crusher, I think. So
I
I was
picked Ada for
thinking,
third, actually, in my
mm,
picks. I thought she was going to have a good day. I thought she was primed for it, rested, and she's a savage as well.
yeah, so I had her and Esther in my head. I was thinking the two of them, if I can be in around them at the start for that first 20K anyway, to get to the first aid session at 31K, I was thinking if I can hang with them and not burn too many matches, I'll be in a good place. So that was my plan going into the race. So then let's say race start. Race kicks off. We're running around that pen. We're told, right, time to line up. We're going in 30 seconds. And that was quick. It was like we were up to the line. It was a little bit of chat. We're going in 30 seconds. Get your watches ready. And man, it was like we were starting the uphill. It went off like a rocket. I was running that first kilometer at my first kilometer split was 3:48 a kilometer, and I backed off. I backed off because I was like going, this is absolute insanity. Like we're running at 3:48, you know. So I was thinking if I'm running at 3:48 in a round, I probably was back around, 150 or something, maybe 200 actually,
I
like
think
because
at
it's a mass start.
the first time and point you came through, you were like 118th.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'd say I was because like the timing point wouldn't have been for ages
Yeah.
after that, you know. So this was right at the start to get to where the trail starts. So we run up through the streets of Canfranc, out onto the road, through this tunnel. Super cool. You're just going through a tunnel that's heading you towards Jacka anyway, bombing it out there for 2K pretty hard. And then she just turns down to the left and then it just stops. And then I was like, okay, that's why a lot of the guys are trying to get out there. But I was really happy that it stopped because I was like, okay, let's just settle it down a bit here now
So
and
there was
get
a
into a
bottleneck.
rhythm. Yeah, big bottleneck just down these steps and over this bridge, and then you were running along this trail along the river, which was very like what you'd see in Chamonix, just easy sort of gradual trail, and that went for about 4K. And I was just settling in, and just I was passing people, people were passing me. I was like, don't worry about it. There's a climb coming after 4K, like so, and it's a big climb. It's a 1,600 meter climb, so it's going to slow down. People are going to start coming back to me, and I'm going to start picking up places. And I would have passed a lot of people on that first climb. So I would say I went from way back in the field, maybe like 100 and I'd say like 180 deep, and then I probably passed maybe 30 or 40 people on that first climb. Just keeping it calm, keeping it steady, like. And then it was super cool because by the time I got to the top of that first climb, who was there? My my darling Ada was there and Esther was there, and I was like, yes, yes, that's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted. And it was like, all right, now we fucking race. Let's get it going. They were just getting into it. Ada didn't even have the poles out yet. She was like getting ready to run because there was a nice runnable section. Esther was putting the poles away and I was putting the poles away and we were ready to run, and it's like this is class. This is exactly where I want to be.
Not even by design, like you wanted to meet them and you just met them.
Just met them. Yeah, just met them. Yeah. So it was like, okay, like I felt like that was a conservative start. Like it's not a conservative start, but a smart start. And I did feel like if that's a smart start, that's exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna run very similar to that. That just felt like the right pace at the right time, if you know what I mean. So then we ran on then for maybe 5K of runnable stuff, and then there was a water station. So I think maybe 21K, 22K in, and we just filled up. You could fill up in water, but I didn't fill up in water there because I had enough. Like I was there, I don't need anything there. Like I still had what I needed. I had enough to get me to 30K without taking anything. So I just went straight by there. Met Tony with a Sony. He got a shot, and Tony with a Sony then gave me a little bit of information as well, and he said that Paddy's not that far ahead of you. He said Paddy's about 4 minutes ahead of you. And I was thinking, so Paddy's only 4 minutes ahead of me. Because I knew Paddy would have went off really hard, like.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, he'll be way, I wasn't even thinking of Paddy. But then he just like put it in my head and he went, this Paddy's 4 minutes ahead of you. And I was like, okay, he's 4 minutes ahead of me. Right, that's good. But again, I didn't think about it anymore. It was just like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and maybe he'll come back to me. Maybe he won't, maybe he will, but I'm not changing the plan. The plan was still stick with Ida. So Ida went straight through that water station as well, started to climb strong. I started to sit in behind her. And then the game kind of changed a little bit then. Running really well, really, really hard uphills, very, very steep, very, very steep, you know, like, I mean, so steep that at certain times that you had to nearly like stretch yourself out. And if you felt like you stretched yourself out too much, you'd actually fall backwards. That's how steep it was. Like, it was
It did. It
insanely
looked
steep.
like one bit that like I watched all of the races all weekend, and I was glued to the live stream. And I remember seeing Jim with Benjamin and Lewis on, and there was this one section they were going up, and it looked like they were just going up the like a gully, almost like at the side of a cliff. It wouldn't have been that far into the race, but there was no trail. It looked on screen. And remember, if it looks steep on screen, it's steeper in person. But it
Yeah.
looked like it was about 30, 35%.
And did it look like it was no trail, right? No trail. There was little flags they could follow, but then it kind of turned into a chute and went
Yes. Yeah,
between
yeah.
two rock faces. Yeah,
Hmm.
that was vertical. That was literally vertical. I actually had passed. There was a Lithuanian runner in front of me as well. Like, so Ida, me and him, we passed so many people there. So many people died a death on that climb, and that was really the first big climb. That would have been. I know we had the 1600 meter climb before that, but that was a way harder climb. Like, that was, you had to fight for every step. You know, like, if you weren't using poles there, it would have been seriously hard to go up that. Like, you would have been pulling the grass out of the field, I think, if you didn't have poles on you. But we made a lot of ground up there, and we had maybe passed 5 or 6 people just on that climb alone, you know. But then after that, real steep downhill, right? And that kind of went nearly all the way down to the first manned aid station where we could get
Yeah.
somebody at 31k. Race started to change a little bit just before that. Jasmine Loader came from behind me and Ida, and she came down by us on this kind of, it was like a ski slope.
Yeah.
She went bombing down that. And I think a little alarm bell went off in Ida's head. I need to go with her, you know? And Ida pushed. And then I was like, okay, I'll go, but this is really fast now. We're
And also
bombing
like
down this hill.
that descent it wasn't a nice descent. It was like ski slope, ski access road. It was
Yeah,
kind of hard packed, but still bumpy. It looked like the type
really,
of thing that would
yeah.
be taking your legs out.
What was wrong with it? What was worse about it was hard packed, right? But let's say every 100 meters in it, there was a huge dip. Like, you wouldn't have seen that, I'd say, from above, but there was a dip, and that was a dip that, like, you nearly fell into it. You know,
Yeah.
it shook your whole spine and your quads and your hamstrings and everything, and it upset your rhythm. And there was one of them every 100 meters going down that, like, you know, there was
So
lads like
we
falling
were
in and
able to see
tripping
that
and
on the live stream because there was follow bike along there, so you could see the little gullies along the way.
yeah, they were shite. Like, I was very conscious of, like, not going too hard into them and not going too hard in that descent, because that would just blow the quads out of you. And I was thinking, look, we're only 30k in here, you know. But got into the aid station anyway with the two of them, and I was thinking, right, I want to get out with Ida. I know Ida's not going to be hanging around in there, so you had to go into the aid station, and it was a bit of a sort of a bit of faff, and you would have to go into the aid station, and you would have to zigzag around a lot of tables to find your table. But thankfully, because the lads had done the short course before, and they were at that same aid station, they were able to tell me, you know, we had a race briefing before the race. They were able to tell me, you go down here, and then we're at the left. We're on the left there. So I knew exactly where the boys were. And my handovers were super quick. Like, I may as well tell you how I was doing it. I was doing, like, I had all my gels in a soft flask, so one of the Hydro Pack soft flasks, and then I'd have one of them, enough to do me for 4.5 hours. That went in one pocket, and then I had a torque drink. That was SIS Beta Fuel, 40 grams carbs. So I had 4.5 hours worth of Beta Fuel in that soft flask, and then in the other soft flask I had torque drink mix. And then I think what I said to you last week, what I was going to do, I was going to take on a lot of Coke. And the Coke I think the Coke was the winner for me. It was definitely the winner for me. So I was drinking Coke from very early on. I actually had Coke at one of the aid stations previous to that as well. I was able to fill my soft flask with just Coke, flat Coke, and then from there on out, that's how I did it. It was one bottle of Torque, one bottle of Coke, and gels. And
Is it any wonder you weren't able to sleep after that race?
yeah, I know. Yeah. But honestly, energy levels were great all day. You know, like the legs might have faltered here and there, but my energy levels and my focus were very, very strong all day. And I put that down to the Coke. You know, I know it has caffeine, but if I had caffeine gels, it wouldn't, the caffeine gels sometimes I think they can turn your stomach. I just think they can. Whereas in the Coke, whatever it does, it just keeps you settled. It keeps me settled anyway. So,
But even, like flat Coke is something that you can give somebody if they've got a funny stomach. Like that's
yeah,
a an old thing. Like I can remember that not as a kid, but like from years ago. Let's take a couple of questions and then we'll move into the next section. So
yeah.
um, one of the first one here is Ricky's a great downhill runner. How did he find the technical downhills, especially in the first half? And also, let's tackle the next question in the rounds of that. Compare level of difficulty to Granite Peaks because stats wise, very similar.
Mm. Um, Climbs so much steeper, so much steeper. So Granite Peaks would have tough climbs, but you know yourself, the peaks in Granite Peaks, you're up them in like 30 minutes and you're down them in about 7 minutes. You know, like you're not getting a lot of damage on your quads going down them because they're pretty short. Like, whereas in over there, the descents, they go for ages. You know what I mean? You could be 35 minutes coming down a descent and it much steeper than what's in the Mourns and much rockier. So your it requires your full focus on the descent, which again is energy zapping as well because you're trying not to fall because if you fall there, you're going to do yourself damage and you're probably going to have a shit race after that. And then the climbs, just like the opposite, they're just so steep. They're just zapping energy from you as well. Like if sometimes you feel like you're not moving and it's hard to get into a rhythm on some of the climbs because it's not a trail, it's open mountain, it's up through gorse and heather and long grass and it's just hard to get into a really good rhythm, yeah.
And so, what about the next section? So the aid station was at 31. What's the like another 30? You said 4 hours earlier, so what's the next
Yeah,
section
so
looking like?
so that was 31 and then the next aid station was closer to 64k. It was around 64k then. So you had
So
and that was the
you're in the thick of it in this next section. How did you
yeah.
feel after that first section? Did you feel like you'd burnt many matches? Like how were you feeling?
No, like I felt good, I felt controlled, I felt okay, we're moving really well. Just don't go too much harder. But again, I'm still very aware of following Ida, you know what I mean? But I'm saying this is good. I think I'm good where I am. I'm on pace. I was running, I think I ran that section all at around 8 minutes a kilometer, you know? So that was like I was like, yeah, that's really good. And I mean, that's the thing, like that's really good running. Like, you know, if I ran like that here in Ireland, like that'd have me winning that race, you know, it would like, you know, and I'd say if I did a lot of races in the UK and I was holding that pace, it'd put me on the podium in a lot of those races. So like that's where the standard was at, like, you know, like and I'm back in probably like 100 position at this time, you know,
Well,
probably.
at the 31K aid station, you would have been in 117th if that's where the first time in mat was.
Yeah, yeah. So that there you go. Like, and I didn't want to know where I was. Like, I told the lads, Don't tell me where I am. I'll ask at the last aid station." I said, "That's at the next aid station at 64k." I said, "I'd ask there." So left there, come out of that aid station. I was in good spirits. I was in good form. I was smiling. There was a guy there called Hugh Williams, is his name. He does he puts on a few races in Wales. I got to know him from the last World Champs, and he was there just making some footage, getting some content or whatever. And I made sure I was smiling with him, I was cracking a joke with him. I was smiling with the lads and cracking jokes with them inside in the tent. I was just trying to keep the spirits high, but my spirits were high. Like I was enjoying it. Like hard knots at 31k in. I'm running beside Ida Nielsen. It's like I'm loving life at the minute, like, and I've got legs and I'm strong and I'm young and I'm fit, right? So I'm like, I'm ready to go. So we come out of there, and very early on, leaving there, I realize Ida is slowing down, you know. So I'm like, so what do I do? Like, I have to change now. So then Jasmine is just ahead, and I say, okay, I think Ida's struggling here now, so I'm going to just move. I'm going to start moving better now. So that was it. I started running after Jasmine, but it was not very long till I realized she was really strong. And if I kept that pace going, that wouldn't have been a good idea. So I just settled into what I was doing. But then what happened was I met a couple of Americans a little bit ahead of me, and one of them goes, "Hey man, Paddy's just like 2 minutes up on you." And I was thinking, "Holy shit, he's only 2 minutes ahead of me now." And I was there, all right. So that was like information that was just nice to hear, you know, and it just like made sure that I didn't slow down. So it was like, okay, just keep doing what you're doing. Maybe he'll come back to me, you know. And then I was actually thinking he could come back to me, and me and Paddy could actually do some work together, you know. And
Yeah, yeah.
we could actually get into a bit of a rhythm and cover some ground together and have a bit of crack as well while we were doing it.
So Paddy came
So,
through that first aid station. I think he was about 90th.
mm,
So, and there was, I think, at the largest point in the gap, certainly, but from the trackers or the timing mats or whatever, wherever was being used, was around 10 minutes. But as your pace, as not as your pace, but as your little arrow on the tracker was showing, two places, four places, five places, as it was going along. Paddy's was slowly going the other direction. So he'd
yeah.
started at 90 and was creeping back towards 100 as you were creeping closer to 100. And so take us from there.
Yeah, so that's sort of the course then. There was some big climbs in that, very, very steep ones, and then some really long descents in it. And my descending legs were good. And they were like what was I was that's what was passing. I was passing people on the downhills, and I was catching people. And you know yourself, when you're catching people, you know, it's like a big adrenaline boost, and it's like, yeah, that's a feel good factor, and you just want to keep that momentum going. So I was catching people all the time. Nobody was really catching me. I didn't think anyone was catching me. And then I was with this. It just so happened that I ended up with this Japanese girl. She's a little small girl. She runs for Oka. I'm terrible. I'll never be able to pronounce her name. But I think she ended up. I think she ended up like seventh in the women's field. You know. But we ran together from there on until I met Paddy. She was super strong, super smooth. And I was thinking, she's doing exactly what I'm doing right now. So now I have a little bit of company, even though there was no talking between us. But it was so funny, right? And this is something I'll never forget. Every time we went to work on a climb, she had no poles, right? I was using poles. She had no poles. She picked poles up at the next aid station for the last section. But all the way to 60k, she had no poles. And she was getting to the top of the climb, and the two of us would crest the climb, and she would look at me and she would do this, you know, and she would say thank you. And I kept saying, man, you are an absolute monster on the climbs. She mightn't understand a word I said, you know, but she would just turn to me and do this. And I just thought, this is fucking deadly, like, you
That's
know.
class. So you've been
Yeah.
like working together. You get to the top of the climb, and then she acknowledged it in a Japanese way.
Yeah, exactly. As if we kind of like helped each other get up, you know. And on all the descents, I led, and on all the climbs, she kind of just sort of like stayed shoulder to shoulder, if not a little bit ahead of me. But on the descents, I was a lot stronger than her on the descents. So we ran together for another 10k, and then this crazy thing happened, man. This crazy thing happened. So there was me and wildlife, right? So
Oh yeah, well that's
I
the question. Did Ricky encounter any wildlife this time?
Yes, so let's answer that question. So what happened was there was we were bombing down this hill after doing one big climb. She was after giving me the nod. We were after turning, making the descent. Really smooth, kind of lovely trail, like very kind of let's say, European trail, like just really runnable, really smooth, running down that, but very steep. I spot this guy ahead of me, stopped on the trail, a Canadian runner. I spot this farmer coming down, shouting. And then I see this line of cows coming down in front of the Canadian runner. There's about 10 cows coming down. And they're not cows, they're monsters of cows. You know, like they're proper mountain beasts, like with big horns on them and everything. And the farmer is basically telling me to stop. He's saying stop running, like, you know, in French, in Spanish, don't know, wasn't really paying much heed what language he said. All I know is I wasn't fucking stopping. That's all I know. So the Canadian guy is ahead of me and he stopped. And I says, keep fucking going, keep fucking going. And he shouts back at me, he says, but the guy told me to stop. And I said, are you a fucking farmer? He says, no, keep fucking going, you know. But two of the cows sort of like panicked when they saw us all and just burst through the trail and like turned over and kind of fell and stumbled and into this like bunch of trees, and then all I heard was doo, 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 doo. It was like two cars rolling down a hill, like that's what it sounded like. Yeah, and I was like, holy shit, imagine. And it was literally like just in front of us, like, you know, but the rest of the cows stayed where they were, and then we ran down into this forest, and then that was like, oh man, that was mental. And it was like, no. And I know the Canadian guy, just can't think of his name. He's a really strong runner. He runs for Norda. And I was thinking, all right, so the Japanese girl is behind me. He's ahead of me. He's running really.
Elliot Carden?
No, not Elliot. I met Elliot just before that. But he's a smaller, black-haired guy, really good runner. He's actually, I'm not sure. I think of his name later. I just can't think of his name now. But we ran together in the woods for a little bit, only a little bit. But I was like really smooth. And then I look around and I look down and I see the two cows that had like fallen through the thing, and they were grand. You know, there's nothing wrong with them. They were just bopping around. And I was thinking, not so bad. They're all right. Keep it going. You know. And then he just sort of fell away, and the Japanese girl caught me on the next climb. And then it was all right, back to work, you know. But that little section, that was just something that I remembered, you know, and it was like, oh man, that was mental, like that was just mental. And then that put like more adrenaline back into me, got my like sort of levels up again, and it was up, yeah, let's keep this going, you know. And I was going off that energy and using that energy on the next climb and the next climb. And again, me and the Japanese girl working together.
What are we now?
One more,
50 Ks in, maybe?
yeah, coming up on 50K, and then we come out of the woods, another big climb with a few switchbacks in it, and then I just take a look around. Unbelievable, like Pyrenees, mountains everywhere. And then I spot this little green man in the distance, and I say, there's Paddy, he's just there. And I'm like, all right, just don't do anything, just keep doing what you're doing, keep working. And then I says, I'll be there soon. Like he only looked like he was about 60 seconds ahead of me, you know, that kind of way. And it was on a climb, like, but Paddy's a strong climber, and I would be thinking if he was failing anywhere, it was his downhill running that was getting him, but he'd still be climbing strong. So it might be 60 seconds, it might be 2 minutes. It is what it is. And that's exactly what happened, because if I actually pushed hard, I probably would have like dug a hole for myself, whereas, and I just kept doing what I was doing, because when we summited that, then it was really technical down along this riverbed. Like one mistake, you'll twist an ankle, you know, it was very rocky, very technical. But at the same time, it was fun to run on it while my legs were still really good at this stage. Like I was like still able to like fully manage my legs. And I had just passed Paddy. I just caught Paddy then there was a water station there where it was just water. There was nothing else. It was just a tap. There was a guy holding the tap and he was filling bottles. And I met Paddy there. He was trying to open his bottle. He was sort of like faffing around with this bottle. And I said, just screw it open. And he was trying to flick the Hydro Pack lid, you know, and for whatever reason it was like probably jammed with sugar or something and he couldn't get it up. But I said, just screw it off. And he was there. I said, Paddy, screw the fucking lid off, you know. And I said, come on.
Hurry up.
And then, yeah, and then I just was like, right, I just unscrewed it, filled it with water, and then that was it. And then I was gone. And I thought he'd turn and come. And he did, but he was probably like 20 seconds before he was finished there, you know. And that 20 seconds was enough for me to put a gap I look back and he had stopped again because Paddy actually had a t-shirt on under his vest because he was afraid of getting like chafe, from wearing the singlet. But now it was after getting hot. Like it was really hot now. Like it was probably up around 20 degrees, maybe 22 degrees up there. Like, and it was warm.
Full
So he had
exposure as well.
yeah, so he had stopped to take off his top and all that, and that was it. That was the last I seen of Paddy. So I was kind of gutted because I was hoping that the two of us could run together for a while, and just, you know what I mean. It would have been nice to just talk to him to see how he was, see how he was feeling, and just
Pass some
see.
time as well, do a bit of work
Yeah,
together.
yeah, it would have been great. Like, but I just wanted to stay with that Japanese girl more than anything because I just felt she's super strong. She knows exactly what she's doing, and it was just fun. I was having fun running with her, even though there was no talk between either of us. It's just there was like a I don't know, yeah, and it was just lovely. Like it was really nice. And then it got unbelievably technical. Like we were hands and feet like scrambling around cliff edges where if you go left or right and you fall, you're probably going to die. Like you're actually like you're going to die because if you fall, you're not going to stop falling. That's what it was like. And it was like there was a woman. Now, in fairness, on those things, there was always a marshal on like there telling you exactly where to go. Grab that, grab that, grab that, go around there. No, this side, this side. They were very like they were trying to mind you and keep you safe as much as possible. But I mean, if you had no legs there and you were a little bit disorientated and your head was spinning, it would have been scary, I'd imagine.
And there was a wonderful like ridge line that the drone followed the front of the race with, and it looked spectacular, but it
Mm,
also looked like, man, if you trip, you're
yeah.
you're hurting. You're gonna really like cut yourself up if you fall on some of this terrain.
Yeah, Zach Hanna was on that ridge, so that's where I was coming to. So come across one of them, and then I'm onto that ridge, and you're running along that ridge, and Zach is actually up there, and he was actually flying his own drone up there just before I came, and then he was telling me, just look, this is what's ahead of you. He says it gets really sketchy just over that ridge there, so just take your time, be very careful there. But he says then it opens up again, and that was just nice to be told that. It was nice to know that okay, this is be careful here, and then we can start running again. And same, me and the Japanese girl we got there, we kind of helped each other around that as well, like because it was sketch, man. It was. And you are like I know I'm saying my legs are great and everything, but you're beginning to feel it. Like your body, sometimes your foot doesn't do exactly what you want it to do. Sometimes you have your pole in your hand and you might you put them away or you might be doing something stupid with it. Like so I was like making sure that all right, take your time, to put your poles away, put them back, get your hands out. You need your hands. And then it was just all the way downhill into that 64k aid station. Then.
And what was the atmosphere like? It seemed like there was a lot of people out on the course cheering on, and it kind of would have been a little bit special as well because whenever you're thinking about UTMB and like the normal commercial races, it's people that are in the villages and towns and in the areas that you're running through. But a lot of the spectators here, they were part of teams. They were runners. They were runners'
Yeah.
crews. They were maybe not part of the long trail. Maybe they were part of the short trail. And so it must have felt like there was great like camaraderie and atmosphere.
But there was people everywhere. There was people everywhere. Like there was very few sections, and I mean it's so remote. Like when you're in it, you're wondering how did they get here? Like they had to hike for hours probably to get there. Like because and there was people everywhere. There was very few sections where there was nobody. There was a couple of sections, yeah, they would have been, but anywhere up high, especially, there was always people. There was always people cheering, and and again, you're feeding off that as well. Like there was a bit of die die die. There was ale ale ale. There was venga venga venga. I was like, I like the venga one. I'm a fan of the venga now because even I was saying venga, and you're hearing French accents because we're in France at that time, you know what I mean? So there's a lot more French people over there. So I'm saying gracias to the French people. I'm saying bonjour to the Spanish people. I'm going, fuck, I don't know who I'm talking to right now, but thanks for being here is all I wanted to say, you know?
Yeah, so we're coming into 60. I think for anybody, it doesn't matter your level. Like if you think about 80Ks, 5,000 meters of vert-ish, getting close to it anyway, that first 30, you're kind of getting into the race. That next 30, you're starting to accumulate fatigue.
Mm,
And then you're coming into 61K aid station. You've then got like 22 to go.
yeah,
So what's that transition like? How are you feeling? What's the
yeah.
vibes?
I'd say like it was saying on the thing it was 61. I'd say closer to 64, which which was fine for me because the way my brain was working when we were getting before we were getting to that aid station, I was like, all right, like we're on 61. And normally if I saw that, I go, where's the aid station? But I was like, all right, we're on 61. We're on 62. That's great. That's another kilometer less I have
They're
to do
counting
now.
down anyway.
Yeah, and then 63. Okay, it's got to be coming up soon, but that's another kilometer less I have to do when I leave that aid station. And then it was 64. So it was 64K when I got in there. I was thinking, I went in, I got my stuff off the boys. I said it was Nick and Liam Vines and Richard Noonan there. So Nick Hogan, who's a class runner, I just said to Nick, I says, what have I got left after this? 18K? He goes, yeah, about 18K. And then I was thinking, right, I'll see you at home, lads, you know, and that was it. I was straight out. Like I was in and out of that aid station in less than 60 seconds, you know, it was in and out. Like again, grabbed it, da, da, da. Like the boys were even saying like how efficient I was every time they saw me. There was no hanging around. It was just smiles, thank yous, and goodbyes, you know, and that was it gone. But I'm telling you, the race went up a level after that. I was thinking, okay, it's not going to be easy, but I'm nearly there. It's only 18K left. Man, the next 5 kilometers were just all uphill, and it was hard to climb. There was a lot of like having to grab rocks and pull myself up. There was a lot of really, really tricky stuff to navigate through. Picking lines, it was really hard to pick a line. It was all off trail. And I was kind of like, I am just tired now. Like the fatigue was walloping me, you know. Like my legs were just feeling it. I was starting to get those almost cramps. You know, my adductors were like almost cramping, and it was like I was having to just try and adjust the gait on this one and adjust it on that one and keep it at bay, you know.
I did notice whenever I was looking at your Strava splits that that last section looked like it was more challenging for one reason or another. The gap went down. It definitely slowed a little bit. So that was a result of everything, the fatigue, the technicality of the course.
Yeah.
So were you still with the Japanese runner?
Still with her, but she was charging. She was like almost like she was too strong for me, you know. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just have to let her go, you know. And I was like, I can't. I was feeling it. I was really feeling it at that time. And I even noticed that. Like I noticed that my gap had gone from like 8:05 to like 8:30 on that 5K section, you know, because it was so technical. It was like it was just so hard to navigate through that with poles, with tired legs. It didn't matter. It was just like I found that really challenging. And then it was just never ending as well. And it's, again, a little sort of almost mistake on my behalf was I thought we're going to go up here, and I could see the chairlift, right? And I was thinking, oh well, I just get to that chairlift, and that's it. And then it's downhill. It's 10K to the finish. Done.
Mate, you know what you were doing here? You were thinking
Mm,
ahead.
yeah,
It
but
doesn't matter.
yeah, it doesn't fucking
It
matter.
doesn't
It's like,
matter.
yeah,
You do what's in front of you. You were projecting
yeah,
that thought forward. Oh, it's just there. And then when it
yeah,
wasn't there, there was a
yeah.
little bit of a smack of disappointment from it.
Yeah. And it was actually like Shea Aguileno and Sylvia Nordstar were just around me there, right? And Shea I said to the two girls, I says, it's just there and it's all downhill, you know. I said to Shay, and Shay goes, no. She says, we've one more climb. And I says, huh? And she goes, no, we've one more climb. And I looked at my watch and I went, oh, she's right. She's right. I've only like 5,100 meters. So I've got a 300-meter climb somewhere in here. And that climb was it was probably the worst of the day. Obviously, it felt like the worst of the day because it's the last climb of the day. But it was so hard. It was so steep. It was so rocky. Like honestly, like you know, I don't know, like if Jim Walmsley or Annie or Benjamin are running up that, like I'm there, like how, like what sort of freaks are these guys if they're moving well on this, like, because I met a couple of the British lads and they were in as much pain as I was, you know, on that section, and like it was just really really hard. But then it was we're nearly there, you know, and it's like okay, then this other really cool moment happened. So got up to the top of this. Then there's a bit of a downhill and then one more climb right before the descent. But in that section where you dip down, so you dip down, big massive valley, views for miles and miles and miles. Just dip down. It's almost like a little hump with like a little bit of a lake here, a little bit of a lake here, and I'm running across the middle. I'm not messing. Shea Aguilino's behind me. There's about 1,000 sheep in front of me on that hump, and I'm running towards them, and I'm like going, "What's going to happen here?" There's 1,000 sheep in the fucking way, like right in the middle of the trail. So I go over and I run, and one or two of them just do this, and then three or four of them do this, and then I put out my arms like this. I'm like fucking Moses, and the whole lot of them just go, and they just make a tunnel for me and Shay, and like the two of us are like laughing our heads off at how just it was just mental. Like, actually, like that was like one thing. I was like, I kept thinking about that, you know, for the next whatever 20 minutes, going, that was just mental. Like it was like they were there, and like surely to God, I'm not the only person that saw that. Like they had to have just kept coming back and kept doing that. They had to have kept doing that all day because it was just really unusual, but really cool at the same time, you know. And then that was it. Then
But those
it was
sheep,
like
they were on the live stream, but not at that
cool.
particular section. But there was like a panicked farmer, I think, dealing with these sheep. They were on the sheep were on like a descent at whenever we saw them in the live stream with Jem and the two French lads. So that's interesting that you got to experience the sheep too.
Yeah, yeah.
Ricky parted the sheep as Moses
Yeah.
parsed the waters.
I tell you, and they were big sheep. They were bigger than our sheep, mate. You know what I mean? They were like big dogs nearly. I was thinking, fucking hell, like I don't know, are they going to move for me? Like I'm pretty tired at the minute. I don't want to just wade through them, you know, and be trying to get through them. But they just moved,
And
and we
all of
just
these
ran
thoughts
through
were
that.
happening as you were moving. You wouldn't have slowed down a bit. And then it just would have felt like as they started to move and part, you would have
Mm.
got a little bit of a buzz from that
Oh
anyway.
yeah, yeah, yeah. A huge lift there. And you're also getting a lift because you know that you're nearly there. Like, you know, you just have one, you can see it now, you know, I can see where I'm going and I see that, okay, there's a climb there. It looks like it's less than 100 meters and that's it. I know that's it. Like, I know then it's all downhill then. And then I get up to this guy. There's a guy there. He's standing. He's telling people go this way, and he's telling everybody it's all downhill from here, and that's what he's saying. And I trust him. I believe him. And he says you turn that corner there. He says you can see Can Frank. He says all the way down. And I says, oh, deadly. You know, I was like, that's it. You know, let's get the fuck off this mountain. Like, let's just get it done. You know. And like at those moments, I had strange thoughts in my head. I was like, okay, I'm first Irish, so I'm really happy about that, you know. I've put in a big shift. I've ran well, but I knew that like I actually thought I was around like 90th or maybe 91st or 92nd.
We're doing the switchbacks. There's 8K to the finish. Over to you.
Yeah, doing the switchbacks, 8K to the finish. You can see the town, you can see the finish all the way down. You can see it because you're running right along. the kind of the mountain edge, but it's like almost like a path with a wall. So you could actually like run on the path or you could run on top of the wall. And then you would have a long kind of a switchback. And it was just like that all the way down, all the way down. And then bombing down that as quick as I could. Even at, I think I was like actually clipping like 4:35 a kilometer on some sections of it, you know. And then it was down into the woods, and you're into the woods. Take the shades off, put them on the back of my head in case I fall. What do? Kick a rock, have one of those 15-second almost falls where I'm like, da, da, da. Oh, this is gonna hurt, this is gonna hurt. Please don't fall, please don't fall. Just managed to save myself. Ricky, quit the shit, focus, no more of that, get it done, pop out onto the road. Some guy says, turn here, turn here, turn here, following the cones around. There's one of our young fellas on the under 20 team. His name's Finn. Finn's granddad is there. I've never seen the guy before in my life, and he's got a flag for me. And I run, and we're still like maybe 500 or 600 meters from the finish, and I'd take that flag off him. I'm bombing it as fast as I can. I'm heading for the finish line, and I'm like, I'm actually buzzing now. I am buzzing, and I'm like, it's all like, you know what I mean. I'm so happy that it's finished, and I'm just coming in. I see Trina, I see Trina's mum and dad, I see Killian's mum and dad, and I'm coming up to the finish line, and that's it. I see Tony with a Sony at the finish line, and I'm done, man. 82K, 5,400 meters of climbing, 11 hours and 22 minutes, 85th in the world. So I'll take it. I'll take it. Big day.
Yeah. And like, at what point did you know your position? Because like, there's nothing you can do about it. You're going out there, you're giving your all. The field is the deepest 80 something K race that's ever been put together, ever.
Yeah.
So, like, the position's out of your hands. You're just going out there and giving your all, and you left it all out there.
Yeah, like that's it. I finished and I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was like I assumed I was around 90th. That's what I was. And then I was told I was 85th. So that was a little bit of a pick me up. It was okay, 85th. But also I was talking straight away after I was talking to Keith Widgley. I was talking to Hugh uh,
Chatfield.
Chatfield. Unbelievable race, 12th,
Oh
incredible.
yeah, well, spectacular
Um
race.
I was talking to like, and Keith Widgley was only, I think, maybe two or three, a couple of spots ahead of me. You know, he might have been in maybe less than 10 minutes ahead of me. Elliot Cardine, Nor the athlete, absolute weapon, only in about like 8 minutes ahead of me. Ida Nielsen wasn't in for another half an hour, you know, and you're looking at this and you're looking at these athletes that are in and around you, and like you're thinking like I had a great race, man, you know, and as disappointed as I thought I felt, I was like, you can't be disappointed because you were number one, you were first on the Irish team, and number two, like I ran really well, you know, and I ran strong, and I honestly don't think I could have done anything differently. Like I've thought about this, and you know the way you'll always come up with, oh, if I did this or I did that. Honestly, I don't think I could have done anything any better. I think I had a day, you know, like even that fall, if I wasn't having a day, I would have fell and I would have clocked myself and I would have hurt myself. Like I hardly kicked a stone, you know. Everything on me is fine, you know. I don't have massive black toenails. The only thing I had in my toenail was I had a big blister under my toenail, you know, and but other than that I had nothing, you know. So I couldn't have had a better day, I don't think. And the position is what the position is. And I'm happy with it. But the great thing about it is that I'm not like, oh, I'm over the moon with it. That's the best thing I do. Because we always want to do better. Like I want to do better, you know. And like talking amongst all the Irish team, you know, and we were discussing were we happy with the performance of the team and were we all happy? And like the consensus is that everyone's kind of happy with where they finished, but they're just more motivated than ever to try and get better, you know, to try and improve and to try and, as I said before, close the gap, you know.
Like, what do you do?
Mm,
Everyone like give their all, but the Irish team can't compete with the Italian team, the French
mm,
team. You know, it's like, Uh, yes, comparing football teams, countries are stronger than other countries because there's bigger mountains, more depth, been doing it for generations longer.
Yeah,
So all of these factors are outside of this generation's hands. But we're all proud of how the team went. Um,
yeah.
so the general, like that was one of the questions, how did the Irish team feel in general about how they're showing?
Yeah. So like the way we were talking about it was like if if you finish in the top half, so whatever amount of runners are in your race, if you finish in the top half, that's a win. Like that's a win because you're in the top half of the field, you know. So that's all anybody was kind of aiming for, kind of gauging. And then if you got into like let's say closer to that top third, then it was wow, you know, that was an incredible race, you know. And so, and the majority of athletes here at in Canfranc for Ireland finish in the top half, you know. So for a little country with not so many big mountains, I think we did pretty good, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's tackle just a couple of these questions as we start to wrap things up. We don't want to, spook Instagram again and have more gremlins. I'm pretty sure there was no shoe changes or any gear changes. You were so slick in the pit stops, right?
Yeah. Tech the next three, uh, dry max socks, um, no issues, nothing, you know. So
I'm
feet
glad
felt
that I'm
great all
glad to
day.
see that I had a little bit of input into the gear selection there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So no shoe changes, and I think the perfect shoe for that course. You know, I had absolutely no issue. I had no slips, no falls, and no like pain in my feet because there was a lot of rocks in it. So I was like really happy to have that extra cushion from the foam and the Tech X3.
And in terms of across the whole course, what were the highlights of that? Like what points were the best, most spectacular, most memorable? We've obviously got the sheep.
Definitely got the sheep. Uh, like got the Japanese girl. Got running with Ida Nielsen. They're two massive highs for me. You know, like it's like it's they were two memories I'll never forget. Just getting to run with them, getting to talk to Ida for a while. Like Ida's a bit different than Emily. She wouldn't be as chatty and she wouldn't be minding me like a mammy. But at the same time, you know, we had a conversation and we had chats and she was great and she kept my spirits high. And I like to think maybe I had tried to keep her spirits high as well. Um, then just the technicality of the course, like if let's say if I was just training on that course, man, I'd be the happiest little man on the planet. Like it was such a fun course, you know. And I would say for 60K, 65K, I was having tons of fun running on it and trying to soak it all in and like go, wow, look where I am right now. Look at the ridge line I'm running on. It was very, very similar to like a sky run ultra, you know,
Yeah,
like I was that it was a Skyrun Ultra really, you know, like the technicality in it was mind blowing. And then just because I've never been in the Pyrenees, the vastness of the mountain range, it's like it's so different to the Alps, like just so different.
it's harder.
Mm, yeah.
It's harder terrain. It's rougher terrain. Definitely a different vibe. That's why I told you I don't race there in the Pyrenees anymore. Like the weather is a wee bit more unpredictable as well, certainly in the earlier months of summer. But I gotta ask, the Japanese runner, I'll figure out her name, we'll look up the
Mm.
results. Did you have any communication after the race? Did you finish close?
Class, class. I'm glad you asked me that because um came out of the tent and just came around the corner and there she was like in against the wall changing her gear, you know, she was on her own and I spotted her and I went straight over to her and I said hello to her. She got up, we gave each other a big hug. She gave me about six of these, you know, and she gave me another hug and she was telling me like she kept saying thank you to me and I was like no no thank you. I says you kept me going and it was just a nice moment, you know. And I mean she's tiny, hey, like I felt tall standing beside her. Like this woman is incredible. She's like to my eyebrows. She's a Hoka athlete. Um, Hirako or something is her surname. But look, we get it. We get it down right because she definitely deserves a proper mention. Yeah, yeah. But here also, just like running unrelated, but after the race. So after the race, we all went out. We all went for a few beers,
I saw
and
you
we
had a
were,
pint in front of you on a desk.
mm, and we went to like a pizzeria place, but we left that pizzeria place, and we just said we go in here. Of course, it was an Irish bar there. Went into the Irish bar. It took off. The whole French team, the Swedish team, the the Canadians, the Italians, the Americans, all in here. It was epic. It was one of the best nights crack I've ever had. We were there till 4 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, and it was just brilliant. Like it was brilliant. The French, man, they know how to party. Hey, they really, when it's time to let the hair sit, they go mad. Hey, like they were in flying form. Like Fred was there, the winner of the short course. He was in flying form. They were like doing I don't know what they call it. They have a name for it in French, but they all sit on the ground, right? They all sit on the ground in a line, and everybody then starts to proceed to dive on top of them, and they're like just shuffling them back. They were shuffling them back the whole length of the pub, like, and they were doing this for about an hour and a half. It was insane. One of the best nights ever. And then who came over and asked me for my top? But Benjamin. So little Benjamin, who was the world champion 2 years ago in Austria, who was second to Jim Walmsley this year, joined third, obviously. He came over. He wanted to swap with my Irish zip up top. It's the Adidas top. I said, man, I can't swap you this top. But we ended up getting him one of the old Jomo tops. And then he sat with us, and their physio sat with us. And we had a few pints together, and we had the crack together. Unbelievable nice guy, really down to earth, so unassuming. Only 26 years of age now as well. Absolute beast. I think I could get him to sign for Ireland. He loves the Irishman.
That's a nice story. He came out,
Yeah.
he wanted the previous world champion podium at this year's, and he wanted Ricky Wynn's Irish top. Come on,
Yeah.
swap tops with Ricky Wynn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love it. All right, mate. Look, we've dug into that well. We've kept you out of bed, but that's been a lot of fun. I guess like one of the last questions that we've got before we start to wrap things up is like, what's next?
I may do one more race before the end of the year in Mallorca. It's 103 or 4 kilometers, 3,000 meters of climbing in it.
That's about 6 weeks away.
Yeah. So I may do that. Nothing set in stone. I'll see how I go. I see how I recover. I've actually got um a little surprise thrown in front of me there less about a week ago that I have a chance to go to Tantrums for 2 weeks on Monday to do a bit of training. So 1 week it kind of be recovery. The next week I'd like to think I can train for Tantrums at 1800 meters. I can get up to 2-3. If I'm up at 2-3 for 2 weeks, that's good training. I don't want to really waste it. And if I can, I'll use that in Mallorca in the 100K. I would love to try and get another top 10 finish at a UTMB race before the end of the year, just so that like I have, I don't know, a little bit of something to negotiate with going into next year's contract season, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Wow, mate. Like if you did that, this has already been an amazing year, a big year. And you know what we say? Like we were saying it this time last year, like what a year. And
Mm,
then look at how this year turned out. Like
yeah.
roll on 2026.
And before we go, that race was a Western States qualifying race, as in it was you get a ticket. So I was saying on the bus to the lads on the way home, how lucky can one man actually be? How lucky can one man actually be that he gets in 2 years in a row? Am I that lucky? We'll
You
find
gonna
out.
screw up my summer again? Yeah, that this summer's cost me a fortune.
Yeah.
But I'm in. I'm in. If it's happening, I'm going.
Yeah, yeah. It was actually Chris that I was staying with last year. It was him that said it, and he said Western States. He says me and you, and I says, well, sure, how do you talk? And he says, yeah. He says Western States qualifying race. And I says, no way. And he says, yeah. And then I went and I asked a few of the lads, and I says, yeah, yeah, it is, yeah, yeah. So I was there, sweet, because I was worried there that I didn't have, because I thought TDS was a ticket for it, but it's not. It was the previous TDS that was a ticket for it. This year's wasn't. So I have a ticket. So you never know.
Lovely. All right, we'll cross all the fingers for that. All right, like before we wrap it up, let's just give a shout out to the community because there was a
Mm.
lot of racing going on. I need to run through these quickly. Like Alan was ninth at the Two Valleys. I was debating whether to even mention that because I don't even think it wasn't an ultra. It was just a short race. But we give him a shout out because why the hell not?
Plus, he literally just did an ultra, like he backed it up with another race, like pretty
Yeah,
pretty soon after Sleeve Bloom. Yeah.
yeah. Is it an ultra though? He didn't like see a sunset and a sunrise.
What distance is it? 44K or something?
It was a 40 miler, wasn't it?
A 40 mile? Well, yes, then it is an ultra. Come on, come on, quit your shit though.
And then Paul, Sam, and Holly were at Nice doing like I think they were all doing the miler.
Mm.
And unfortunately, Holly DNF, but she was 100 Ks into it, so a good showing all the same. But Sam, what a beast! Robot
Mm.
Emoji is totally owned by Sam. I forget how many 100 milers he's done this year, but I mean, the man saw a sunrise, a sunset, and another sunrise because
Mm.
it was 37 hours. So that's a big
Yeah.
day.
San, I met Sanjay Sherpa over at Worlds, and I was talking to him just before our race, and I was like, just sort of kind of asking like, how are you able to do this? But I was only thinking that Sam is Trail Talks Sanjay Sherpa.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
We're gonna call him Sam Sherpa from now on.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely, definitely. Yes. Yeah.
And then the Trail de Aiguille Rouge, Simon and Philip ran that, and a lot of snow on the course this year. There's been like the photos from the course were amazing, but yeah, pretty icy and stuff in places. Romanendals, Lithuanian community member, ran a backyard ultra,
That's
paced
right.
it
Yeah.
for a 24-hour finish to get some backyard ultra practice. So he nailed that. 24 hours at a backyard means you've run 100 miles. So
Yeah.
well done to him. And then who else? Adam and David ran Wild Struble. And unfortunately, David DNF'd, but it's part of the game. No shame in it. These things happen, and it's more important about what you learn from that DNF and carry forward. And then also we had another DNF. So I mean, there's as many DNFs as there are finishes some weeks, but Tantrums Adam DNF'd the Whistler 100K, the UTMB race. But we did hear this. So it was 100, I think it was like 66 or 65 miles, so just over the 100K. He DNF'd at 59 miles. So he was like a 10K from the finish.
And why? Because I've been out of touch. Like, why the DNF so close from the finish? Injury?
No, I think it was maybe weather related. Like I think it was just shitty weather. It rained from the start. Um, but yeah, not sure of the exact reasons, but like he said, he had fun out
Ah,
there, and it wasn't
so
a wasn't a
close. Yeah.
wasn't a goal race for him. So, and previous Trail Talk guest Mercedes Seigel Gaither, she had I think it was maybe a fourth or a fifth or something. She had a good result at the 100K as well. So anyway. That is the community results we have run through. I'm sure I've probably missed a couple because it's hard to keep on track of them.
You have to, before you go, you have to give an update on you, on your race, on your training.
Oh
which
no,
it,
we'll do that next week. We've
okay,
chatted long enough. We're an hour and a
true,
half
true.
into this show, and I don't want to distract from the main topic, which was that Ricky Wynn is the top Irish ultra trail runner in the world
In the world.
for the next 2 years. You're the Irish champion of the world.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I'm very happy. I'm very proud. That's twice I got to don the Irish jersey. Like for me, that's a dream come true. And at the last two World Champs, I'm first Irishman home. So I'm really proud of that. So that's what I mean. Just keep showing up.
Yeah, and you certainly do. As we wrap it up, join the Trail Talk WhatsApp community. Come in and talk shit to us. Give us the banter. Ask your training questions, your nutrition questions, whatever you got. We got time for you. You can replay this on all of the podcast players. You know how to find them. Just search Trail Talk. Remember, when you're going up that next hill, it doesn't fucking matter. Just go and get it done. And last thing I gotta say is I recorded an amazing interview
Mm.
with Martin Perrier, the second place finisher at the Tour de Géant. It was 2 hours long. It is gold. The
Yeah, I can't wait
mindset,
to listen to
the
that.
training,
Mm.
the race. I like it's gonna be hard to pick out the moments to promote this because there was so much good stuff in this podcast in this interview. I think it was like my favorite conversation with any guest ever, barring present company.
Yeah, I could tell like from the message you were sending me earlier, you were excited about this one. So I'm excited to listen to this guy. Like he's an interesting dude with some gold, I'd say, knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. So on that note, for me, have a great run this week. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your weekend. We will see you on Monday next week. And that's all from me. Peace.
Peace.